Good morning, and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane, Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck Team at Windermere Real Estate. Beck and Beck provide complete service for your real estate transaction and bring you guests who provide interesting information about products and services available in our community. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk KGVO. And away we go with another episode of Missoula Real Estate Today. Thank you so much for listening to us. And if you're maybe thinking about selling a home or some kind of a property, among many other things, which we will discuss, this is the guy to talk to, Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Had you on very, very early in the year, so it's been a little while since you had a chance to come back. It's Kiln Media now. I think it's probably been close to a year, Corey, since you changed the name from Missoula Real Estate Photography. But the name changed to Kiln Media. What inspired that, and what is its significance?
Yeah, so we made that change, I want to say a little over a year and a half ago now.
Right.
And the big change was kind of backing off the niche. So it was all about real estate for us, and that's all we did. And we started during the slow season, starting to help businesses brand themselves like we do realtors, creating content for them. And we didn't want a business coming to our website and saying, oh, they're just real estate, and leave.
Great point.
So we backed off the niche. I fought it for months on the rebrand and finally decided, okay, I'm going to make that change. And we did the rename.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've been received well. What kind of businesses have been contacting you that need some help?
Yeah,
anything and everything, or
yeah, we've kind of done a few things. We've helped architects do some things. Kind of still in that building industry.
Yeah,
real estate kinda, but stuff outside of it. We've had marketing companies come to us and create the content for their clients, and then we hand it over to the marketing company, and then they take care of it for their client. So some of those clients that we've worked with is Vita Nova. We've worked with Five Valleys Restoration.
they've been on this show,
and a couple others. So we've done a couple different companies that we've created some content for.
Your background and why this profession called your name all those years ago.
Yeah, it's, I've always done photography. Started off just like any photographer, shooting anything and everything under the sun. And I got to a point where I saw a friend that was actually shooting some content for real estate and kind of just caught my attention. So I thought, I'm going to give this a try. And I had a friend who had a property that was already sold, under contract, vacant. And she let me come in and test it out. And it was nice to not have any brides, mothers, or anything talking back to me. So the house doesn't talk back. It's great.
No, it does not. Obviously, as you mentioned a moment ago, you have branched out a lot. But originally, what about that real estate photography? What was it that appealed to you besides not having to deal with bridezillas and whatnot? But what was it about the real estate thing?
Yeah, I would have to say real estate, it just, most of the time you're by yourself. And so it's just kind of like one-on-one, nice and slow, take it. There's a majority of the time we're not in a rush. So it's just get in there and take the shots we want to take, and nice and quiet. And I grew up, it's funny, I grew up in the building industry. So my dad was a contractor and I fell right back into it, but on the part where it was completed. So
yeah,
it just, part of the family, I would say, is the whole building industry.
The solitude inspires your artistry.
Yeah.
There's a slogan you can borrow. Right off the top of my head, I'll sell you that one. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane, Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. With my guest, Corey Dostal, owner of Kiln Media in Missoula. What makes a good, I wrote the question, what makes a really good real estate photographer, or any kind of photographer, I guess, is what I would ask you these days.
Yeah, it's, any photography, it's about composition. You got to line up the shot the right way. In the real estate world, there's a lot of things that you don't do or you should not really be doing. There's those rules meant to be broken at times, but vertical lines, horizontal lines, and such that you want to keep straight and help not turn a long room into like looking like a bowling alley. So you got to watch how you shoot some of those rooms and just that composition and being able to adapt and learn to the process.
Your relationship with Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, our sponsors here at Windermere, or real estate agents in general, where will your paths typically cross?
Yeah, so I run all over the place.
Yeah.
There's a ton of paths that cross because of referrals. Those referrals, Diane, Becky referring me out to somebody, and then that just kind of goes as long as you continue to do good work. And all the networking events that I go to, I run into different realtors, just trying to stay in front so I can come across them in many ways. But I am part of the Missoula organization of realtors, so I run across a lot of stuff there when I do their events.
I guess I should mention, you and I are recording a couple days prior, but the show airing this Saturday and Sunday, the 13th and 14th, I believe the Missoula Building Industry Association putting on their Parade of Homes this weekend. If anybody's interested in that, I believe it's hope I get this right, don't screw it up today, buildmissoula.com, I believe is their way. If folks want to see, the houses that are being showed in the Parade of Homes and gotta get tickets and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's 7 different homes. We've shot all 7 homes for video content.
Excellent.
So we created some hype type videos to gain some attention, and also shot a video for their Tour Taste Toast event, which is actually on the 11th. That kicks off at the Highlander and at 5 o'clock. So, but buildmissoula.com, you can get all those tickets for the show and be able to see all the amazing work that these builders do.
Yeah, again, that's this weekend, the 13th and 14th, folks, if you are interested. Tell me a little bit about the statistics on what they show on how much more effective professional real estate photography can be in the selling of a property.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I don't have any stats. I try not to pull a lot of those stats really, because you never know which ones are true and which ones are made up. But a majority of the properties, well, for example, I just shot a property that was a $4 million property down on the stock farm. And that property was like under contract within days. We shot 3 different videos for the property and did a bunch of photos. So all that hype caught the attention. And it's not just the media, of course, but that's a big part of it that goes into attracting the right client and getting the attention.
Well, Missoula has become, the Missoula area has become a bit more competitive seller's market right now. Prices are still very high, but has that changed the way you've had to approach getting the finished product to your client when it becomes a little more of a buyer's market?
Yeah, so buyer's market, seller's market, when things are on the market longer, it's figuring out how for us, it's being a team member for that realtor. How can we collaborate together and stay with each other through that process? If a property's been on the market for quite a while, they feel like it's been on too long. There's a couple other things, pricing and such, that goes into that. But how can we gain that attention and revitalize that media that's on that listing? So working with those agents side by side through the whole process when the properties are on longer. When it's shorter, it's all about turnaround. That never changes. We have a consistent turnaround. So every day, the following day, we turn around photos, and we can even now turn around photos same day. So we're really pumping up and working hard on providing the best we can.
Excellent. That's great service. Same with rental properties. Still a huge demand for those. Do you do a lot of work with rentals?
Not a ton with rentals. If it's on the rental side, it's more short-term rentals.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. So Airbnbs, VRBO, stuff like that. We've done quite a bit of that this year. And that can be majority of the time it's photography and maybe some Twilight stuff. A lot of those websites don't support video content, but they may have a social media platform page for their property. So creating some cool lifestyle type videos to really sell the life of that property and around it.
And of course, you don't just work in the Missoula area with Kiln Media. Have you been traveling quite a bit?
Yeah, so we've been around. Gosh, we've been up to Polson a couple times this year. Been to Helena a couple times as well, and then all the way down the Bitterroot Valley to the East Fork and up the West Fork. So we cover a very wide area.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO, with my guest Corey Dostal with Kiln Media. When you take on a project, Corey, what is your routine in terms of looking everything over before you begin shooting? Do you have a pretty consistent system, prioritizing what you're going to photograph?
Yeah, there's definitely systems that play a factor in every piece that we do. When we get to a property, driving up to that property, we try to pay attention where windows are facing and kind of make a guess from the inside, like which way we may be looking out the window, and make sure we're parking out of the way so it's not our car's not showing up right out the window of the living room.
Yeah.
Once we get inside, we'll just do a walkthrough and make sure like faucets are set right, toilet seats are closed and stuff, little things like that, and make sure it's ready to go. And then we start the process and we kind of go through the home, the way the home is kind of designed, the flow of the home. So we start off in the living room, kitchen, dining, primary bedrooms, secondary bedrooms, and then upstairs, downstairs, and then to the backyard. So we just kind of work our way from the front to the back.
Yeah, I did. I found that interesting on your website. Now, it helps you, of course, help your clients if they can get some things done prior to your session. Can you talk about what is included in your pre-shoot, your video checklist, room by room? Not necessarily things you're going to do, maybe you end up having to do, but that you would recommend that your clients do ahead of time.
Yeah, it's all about decluttering.
Sure.
Try to declutter, try to depersonalize a lot of things that you can to allow it to look bigger, look cleaner, and keep people's eyes to where they can actually visualize themselves in the home and not see somebody else living in it. That helps a lot, but removing trash cans, dog bowls, things like that, making sure the bedspreads are set right, pillows are set right, the shades are up, doors to certain rooms are open. This is something we've recently learned the hard way. And what I mean by that is sometimes we'll come into a property and a door will be closed and it's the bedroom, or it may be it might be a bathroom, a half bath or something. So we miss those rooms. So we're starting to tell people like, hey, make sure doors are open to rooms that you want us to go into, because there's sometimes rooms that they don't want us to go into.
Yeah, there would be reluctance on your part to, turn the knob.
Yep. So the one thing that's really helped us in this process as well when we get to a property is we do like these builder type floor plans. So like a contractor looking at a 2D floor plan, we can make those, and we walk through the home and we scan the walls all the way through, going in every single closet and everything. So we've started to take that and put that more towards the front of the shoot. So that way we're going into rooms that we typically wouldn't be going into, and we find those areas that's like, oh, here's another bedroom or here's another bathroom that we would have never thought was here. Sometimes floor plans just don't make sense.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO, with my guest, Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media. Obviously, we're talking a lot about the services Corey can provide if you want to put a house on the market and you need help there, but all kinds of businesses too. He's branched out a lot. Also, thank you to a couple of Diane and Becky's marketing partners that bring you the show as well. Danny Hallam at Guild Mortgage and Miles Link with Opportunity Bank of Montana. And we'll be back with more from Corey Dostal in 30 seconds.
We're Beck and Beck with Windermere Real Estate. I'm Becky Peterson.
And I'm Diane Beck. We have over 40 years of experience in the real estate industry.
It's the people that drive us and the relationships that we create that have made real estate our passion.
We were both born and raised in Montana and understand the changing market conditions.
It's that knowledge that we will bring to your next real estate transaction. When you think of home, think of Beck and Beck, and contact Becky Peterson or Diane Beck at Windermere Real Estate.
And back with more Missoula Real Estate Today with Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media. You probably recommend some staging wherever possible. Corey, do you work with a lot of clients who really have a knack for that, or is that where your professional expertise might come? I'm going to ask you to be an interior decorator, I guess now. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not an interior decorator, but we can definitely help you sort things out because we've come into some homes that have virtual stage, or not virtual staging, but we do that as well when a home's empty. But when there's a home staged and we come in, sometimes the stager puts things in places that look good to the human eye. But where the camera sits and the level that the camera sits at, things don't look right. In the photo, it's a little too heavy to one side versus the other. This is all the composition part again. And sometimes we just have to move that vase to the right or to the left or pull it out of the shot. It's all dependent upon that angle that we're taking.
Yeah. Diane Beck, our sponsor at Windermere Real Estate, she was on last week's show, as a matter of fact, and she referenced virtual staging. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like doing it? Is there what do you think of it?
I don't have a problem with it because I'm not the one that does it. My editors do.
Okay.
So we take the shots, we make sure we have those angles that they want, and then typically what happens is we let the realtor choose which shots they want staged.
Okay.
Sometimes some of them are just like, we don't know. We let you choose. Like you choose the best angle that you think it would have the best virtual staging. So, but we want a bedroom, a living room, and a kitchen shot staged. So what we'll do a lot of the time for those like living room shots is we'll try to get an angle that shows the living room, kitchen, and a dining all in one shot because we're staging that whole entire piece. Instead of getting a shot that shows just the living room, now they're getting a shot that stages the whole entire living space, the kitchen and all.
And you, of course, at Kiln Media, you're not in the business of trying to fool anyone or disguise things, but I assume you've seen many properties where you had to work around a number of negative features. How do you address that?
It's, if we can move stuff, we move it. That's the first step.
Yeah.
If we can't get it moved, or if we're in a rental space, the rentals are the worst a lot of the time because the landlord is selling the property and they have a tenant in there, and you've got good tenants and you got bad tenants. And I totally understand, but sometimes you get into a property and a tenant doesn't want to move or isn't happy about the situation, and they don't leave the space looking the best. So we got to find those angles and point the camera and maybe crop something out a little bit this way or move a little bit to the left or the right to hide that item we don't want to be seen behind the TV or behind the next wall.
Yeah.
So just finding those right angles to help make the shot look better.
3D Tours is the service that you offer at Kiln Media. That sounds very high-tech and interesting to me. Can you explain what that involves?
Yeah, so a 3D tour, the easiest way that I explain it to a lot of my clients or sellers is it's Google Street View in your house. That's the easiest way to explain it, to get somebody to get that visual. So you can click these little dots and walk around the house virtually and measure. And now with the 3D tour system, you can even declutter. And what that does is it removes all the furniture from the space with AI. And so now somebody can see the house empty with the virtual tour and allows them to see the duplicate, have an open house 24/7, and satisfies multiple pieces.
Wow. Obviously, you've had to invest in equipment to keep up with the ever-changing technology. I think what you just gave a great example of that. What are some of the other really cool gadgets and gizmos that you like working with?
I love the drone. The drone is one of the best parts. Right now, we have to be very, very, very careful with our drones. I don't take a lot of the risk-taking shots that I would typically take, and the reason why is the whole tariff situation that's happened between the United States and China. DJI isn't shipping a lot of that content over this way. So if you go to Best Buy or you go into any other store, you're not finding those drones on the shelves anymore. So if I crash one, I'm no longer doing drone content. So I got to be very careful with what I do with that. But that is one of the funnest pieces to play with and get those angles that majority of people don't get to see.
Yeah. Wow. Anything else that kind of got your, maybe you haven't acquired it yet, but anything interesting that, man, Kiln Media's got to get that sooner or later?
It's another drone. There's an amazing drone that I just, every time I see it, I want to go buy it, but I know I'll be living in the doghouse if I do.
Okay, I can hear between the lines there. Well, maybe somewhere down the road. Yeah, that'd be great. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. And my guest, Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media. Excuse me. I want to back up a little bit. We've been talking a lot about what you can provide, the real estate services that you can provide if somebody's selling and they want to show their home. But also, one of the reasons for the name change to Kiln Media was that you've expanded so much into other businesses, helping other businesses show what they've got. And I think Five Valleys Restoration was one example that would use. It's obvious, to hire you if you want to show a real estate property. But what kinds of things are all these other businesses that have been contacting you? What do they want? They're not looking to sell the business, I don't think. Maybe they are, I don't know. But they're using your services for other reasons.
Yeah, so it kind of comes, it all rooted from the real estate side.
Sure.
So the real estate side when we started was all about the listing content. What content can we provide to the agent to help sell the property? And that was it. But it has morphed into more of a branding situation. So realtors and businesses, they need to get a brand and they need to become top of mind. When they become top of mind, they gain more business. So with the businesses, it's all about telling their story. So we do one-off type projects for brand stories to tell who they are, what they do, and why they do what they do. And then we also help them with content for social media. So we can come in on 1 or 2 days and create a month's worth of content for them, edit it, and deliver it to them so that way they can have it ready to post and post when they want to, so they can stay front of mind with all of that.
Yeah. Images and videos, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So for their website, social media platforms, we've done some content for some commercials. So
great.
We do a broad spectrum now.
And I probably should have asked you this at the very open of the show. You were, back in the day, Missoula Real Estate Photography, but you changed the name to Kiln Media. And I've asked you this question before, and you can ask me, Denny, why the heck are you having so much trouble saying media? I don't know, but Kiln Media. But I remember the answer being very interesting. If you could relay that back, why you chose that name.
So I didn't choose that name.
You did not.
I did not. So I am a follower of Christ. And when I came to that point where I couldn't find that spot, that name, I searched and searched and searched and could never find anything that was not taken. Huh. And so I started praying about it because I look at my business as it's not mine, it's God's business, and I'm just an employee. So I started looking and praying, and all of a sudden I come out of Harvest Foods one day, get in my truck, go to drive off, and all I hear is Kiln Media, it's not taken, and the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And the first thing I thought of was, I need to get home. And I rushed home, did some research, not finding it anywhere, started picking up the website addresses, the social media handles, and all of that. Claimed all of it, and then started the process for the brand.
You know, that's a fairly common term, I guess, in what clay and pottery and whatnot. Were you kind of surprised it was open? That name was available?
Yeah, the only thing that I did not buy was the domain name kilnmedia.com because the brokers for that want like $3,000 for it. And I was like, I'm not paying $3,000 for a domain name. So I created the website kilnmediahub.com as a centralized point.
Great. Yeah.
But kiln, yeah, it's a pottery term. It's an oven. But the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is all about being thrown in the fire. And businesses and realtors, they got their feet to the fire at times. And we want to be there to help those businesses and those realtors when things get hard on how to create content to get them through that and be a team member through that whole process, walking side by side.
I knew it was a great story. I'm glad I asked you that question again. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. With my guest, Corey Dostal, owner of Kiln Media in Missoula. As you know, I like to ask about success stories. Any session or sessions you've done recently that you've been especially proud of?
Yeah, we've had a lot of high-end luxury properties coming our way, and that is something that I am absolutely loving. We have had, it's on the market right now, a fly fishing like resort. So it sits on the Bitterroot River. It's got a mile of Bitterroot River on it.
A mile, wow.
So we were there pretty much all day shooting content, fly fishing type stuff, and getting some video content for the property and really selling that lifestyle. And then we've had another one that was a really unique property that was a Eastern style home, Eastern European style.
Okay.
And it was down in Darby, like of all places for it to be. Beautiful home, 10,000 square feet. And yeah, we've had a couple jaw droppers lately.
Oh, that's fantastic. And it must be a big relief to your clients knowing that showing a property in pictures and videos is in the hands of an experienced professional. Those are not skills a lot of people have. Plus, the time you can save them, that has to be substantial.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing we press with them is like, why are you doing this? Like, you should be doing things that
Here's my card, yeah.
Yeah, you're great at prospecting and finding those leads and gaining more clients. Let us create the content to help you sell yourself, and step in and create all that content for you there. We don't require you to be at the property, so you can be doing something that's, going to pay you better than taking photos of your property with your iPhone.
Yeah, for sure. Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media here in Missoula, our guest this week on Missoula Real Estate Today. Anything I missed, Corey, that you want to make sure we get covered here? Why choose Kiln Media? How's that?
Yeah, I mean, Kiln Media, like I said, we're not just another vendor. We're vendor. We are a team member. That's our goal. So we're going to talk you through the process. Any questions you have, if you want to lay everything out and figure out the best plan of action, we're here for you. We have a realtor that has taken us up on that, and we got a meeting on Friday morning to be able to go over her content and figure out how to help push these properties that's been on the market for a little bit.
Right. Give us the website again and all the other necessary contact information.
Yeah, website is Kiln, Kiln, mediahub.com. Can find us on social media, Instagram and Facebook as well, Kiln Media. And then our phone number is 406-241-0458, 241-0458.
Corey Dostal, the owner of Kiln Media here in Missoula on this week's Missoula Real Estate Today. Great seeing you and having you back, and continued success.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We're Beck and Beck with Windermere Real Estate. I'm Becky Peterson.
And I'm Diane Beck. We have over 40 years of experience in the real estate industry.
It's the people that drive us and the relationships that we create that have made real estate our passion.
We were both born and raised in Montana and understand the changing market conditions.
It's that knowledge that we will bring to your next real estate transaction. When you think of home, think of Beck and Beck, and contact Becky Peterson or Diane Beck at Windermere Real Estate.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate. For current listings and services Beck and Beck provide, visit movetomissoula.com. That's Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.